Okay, so here we are at skill number 2. All right, skill number 2. It seems like I might have misstepped here or made the last video incorrectly, but basically skill number 2 that we talked about in the top 20 skills that you need to learn was the skill of prospecting. So I'm a little bit, what's the word for it? You know, when you got your stomach, a little bit upset and you're not really sure why. The reason why is because the topic of prospecting is so close to my heart, but yet it's such a hard topic to discuss with people, especially if you're not in the real estate industry, because what tends to happen is you want to look for the easiest way. So I know through analytics that by this point, about 30 seconds in, 47 seconds in or so, I guess we're in, at this point probably about 30% of you have dropped off. So for the 70% that have remained, let me thank you. Let me warn you in advance. I'm going to tell you some things that you're not going to want to hear. I'm going to be very real with you. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. Why? Because that's what you're paying me for, which is nothing. So I'm just going to give you my opinion. So if you can stand having a little bit of realness given to you, then let me share with you where I'm coming from as far as prospecting and why it is that this skill is so important to you. Okay? So if you've got your book, if you got your paper, let's go ahead and whip it out. All right. Number 2, the skill of prospecting. Okay. The first thing you want to realize, number 1, that you want to write down when you're starting to talk about prospecting, you have to understand that you have to go ahead and understand the importance of 3 very important words. Those words are attitude, approach, and expectations. Your attitude towards your prospecting is what's going to make or break you. All right, if you've got a horrible attitude and you're talking to this person, it doesn't matter how motivated they are. It doesn't matter how great the situation may seem, but if you can't get your head in the game, you can't make any progress, and you know this. Okay, so far so good. The next one is approach. What approach are you going to use to get your prospects? You have to understand that not all prospects are created the same. Everybody wants to talk about leads, and we're going to get thousands of leads. We're going to get this lead, that lead. Not everybody is a lead. All your leads are broken down into 3 things. They're either prospects, suspects, or leads. Suspects are people you don't know anything about. That's like cold calling. You don't know anything about them. They don't know anything about you, and you're just kind of starting from a place where, and it's not a very good place. Cold calling, I do not recommend because it's worthless. It's just like picking up a phone book. Now, people who are prospects, what is a prospect? A person who's a prospect is somebody who is, has raised their hand and said, yeah, I'm interested in some capacity. They're not sure when. It might be today, it might be next month, it might be next year, but you don't know. That's a prospect. You have to qualify that person to determine if you can help them. All right, so far so good. Then you've got leads, an actual lead. Now, I had a good conversation with another member the other day, and they had a question about, I said, well, what is a lead to you? And she said, well, anybody who calls me, that's a lead. That's bullshit. All right, the person who calls you could be anybody. You don't know what it is until you start to qualify. To me, a lead is where you decide how often do you want to get paid. Do you want to get paid once a week, once a month, once a year, once a day? How often do you want to get paid realistically? Don't kid yourself. Realistically, as you sit down and you look at your skill level, starting off in a new business, and relate that to your goals, how likely is that? Well, I think realistically, it's easy to say that you could at least do 1 deal a month, maybe 1 deal every other month at the very minimum. Okay? And how I know this is if you look at your local multiple listing service, this is what I do. Look at the hot sheet. It's called the hot sheet. If you're a realtor, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not a realtor, your realtor will tell you. But basically what you're looking for is how many people sold a home in the last 30 days. All right? That number is going to tell you a lot. In Tucson, we have on average about anywhere from 2,500 to maybe 3,500 homes that sell each and every month. So I know on average there's about 3,000 people per month who are going to buy or sell a home or I should say sell a home on the multiple listing service in any given month. All I need is one, just one. If I get one of those 3,000 people, okay, to do business with me, I can make what I need to make. That is a lead. It's somebody who's going to do something in the very near future. Now, the further you get along in the business, the less time you take to convert these leads. So now, if somebody tells me that they're not willing to do something in the next 7 days, I move on. Not because I'm, this or that, but because I have a lot of marketing bringing a lot of people to me all the time. I have a limited amount of time. This person's not ready. Okay, great, no problem. Let's go find somebody who is, and let's get paid. That's the way I kind of overview this. If that sounds like something you can live with, then you'll want to stick in here and hang in with me. Now, the second thing you want to understand is expectations. Okay, we talked about, the attitude that you have, the approach that you have, whether it be yellow letters, bandit signs, Google AdWords, YouTube, branded 1-800 numbers, whatever your thing is to get you this lead, your approach, you have to pick it. And you want to try and master a couple different ones, get a couple different ones that work good for you, okay? But while you're starting out, you have to understand that you have to pick an approach, or at least maybe a couple approaches, okay? Then you have the third letter of this, the third word of this second part is expectations. What do you expect to happen? Do you expect them to slam the door in your face and tell you no? Or do you expect them to smile and say, thank God you're here? Because the way you approach this problem, your expectation is felt. They think that you can buy a home. They think that you're a real buyer. They think you know what you're doing until you show up and start talking. When you start talking, then they realize either how new you are, how dumb you are, or whatever. All right? So if you come into this with the right expectation, they're going to be happy to see me. They're going to want to close this deal. They're going to be excited. Then how can that really go wrong? It can't, obviously. The third thing you want to write down when it comes down to prospecting is you want to go ahead, I should say the second, I guess we're on number 2. You want to track everything. Okay, that's going to become more important as we go along, as you're building a predictable and duplicatable business where you can go in at any time in your marketplace or on vacation, go into someplace else. By taking a certain amount of steps, a certain way, you'll get an expected result. Okay, so you want to track everything. If you're mailing out 200, 1,300, 4,000 yellow letters, whatever, keep track. Mark it down. Find out. I've mailed out 4,000 letters, this is what I got back. I put out 200 signs, this is what happened. I track everything, because later on it'll become more important, and you'll see in the subsequent things when we start talking about tracking your numbers, how you can use that data to your advantage and build a repeatable, duplicatable business, something that's predictable. And that's really what you want. The third thing I want you to go ahead and write down is understand that there will be days, hours, weeks, and maybe even months, where you'll not make any progress at all. I mean, it's like you're working, but it's not working. And there's all kinds of different thoughts about, well, maybe we should mix this up, or maybe we should mix that up, or maybe we should tithe, or whatever kind of law of attraction, The Secret, whatever the hell your thing is. The fact is, you've got to understand that there are just days like that where you will work and work and work, and it will seem like nothing is happening, and you think that you're like, oh my God, I'm wasting my time. Okay, but it's at those moments that's when you're closest to your breakthrough. Okay. So you have to understand, number 3, that there's going to be days, there's going to be weeks, there's going to be maybe even months where you will work and not make any progress at all. And it's all normal. It's part of the process. It's A-okay. Don't freak out. Don't go, oh my God, my life is hell, all this stuff. Don't freak out about all that stuff, because what happens is, as you continue to work, it takes time to learn skills. This is a skill set, okay? No magic bullets. I'm not going to BS you. It's going to take a lot of work. Prospecting is the thing when you generate leads, and a lot of them, You don't have to tolerate. You don't have to take all the BS that comes with all the people. You don't have to have people who are treating you like bull. You don't have to have people who are trying to steal from you. Because the reality of this is that we create, the emotion and the drama. Why? Because we love it. I mean, we love the emotion. We love the drama. Oh my God, And I'm guilty of it too, just as much as you. So when it comes to prospecting, we'll get more into some specifics, but as an overview, okay, you need to understand those three things. First, that you need to, attitude, approach, expectations. Number two, you want to track everything. And then under three, understand that no matter what you do, there will be days, weeks, even hours, months, whatever it is, where it will seem like nothing will happen at all. So that's today. That's prospecting. Now we'll move into the next one. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.